Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Balls and Sticks podcast with your hosts, Mike and Rich. I'd like to welcome those listening in podcast land, and also I'd like to welcome my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Mike. You said feels like kind of like a somber mood, Mike. You're not really as high energy right now.
No, I was good. I was
Okay.
I started out with the good evening, as in like good morning Vietnam type thing, and then I was
Yeah.
like, wait, that's not how I normally start. And I was trying to catch in
No,
my head, what do I
it's
normally
not.
do in my head?
It's
And
not.
I totally screwed up. I screwed up the start of the podcast.
No,
right?
I liked it. I liked it though. I still liked it. Just wanting to know, make sure everything's going okay.
No, it was fine. I in my head, I'm like, I'm supposed to be doing other things, not good. Okay, good evening, and oh yeah, we got to do this and that. So I had to do all. I had to catch where I was at, but
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be talking about it in the kind of like the esports update. But
Yeah.
you were down in Marshalltown a little bit, so
Yeah.
we'll have that to talk about this
yeah,
week.
got some good
So it
barbecue.
was kind of a short week for me, as I had to use up a lot of vacation time in a short amount of time, with it being a final week. So a lot of early outs this week. So
I
kind of
mean,
an odd week.
yeah, but always good to have those. Did you get to watch any of the esports?
I did not get to watch any. I'm sorry.
I posted every time right before, like I posted it on our Facebook page, so you could have just jumped on there and seen it there anyway. So there was no reason you shouldn't have done that, Rich. You totally could have. Well, I guess you were at work in the morning, and then by the time
I was at work in the morning.
by the time the afternoon ones were happening, it kind of got frenzied there for a little bit. But but you were working. You took the whole day off Friday, right? Or just half it?
No, just until noon, and then I met a friend for lunch.
Okay. Well, with that, Rich, we got a show to talk about.
We do.
We're gonna head into the NASCAR corner, as well as some decisions have been made in the NFL. What else do we got, Rich?
Oh, we're going to be talking baseball. As this week we're going to be looking at the Cubs and how we feel about the over/under from FanDuel, which the site that we chose to use. Which we're going to look and see are our Stanley Cup playoff teams, would they make the playoffs if the season ended today? But Mike, all that and more. But what do we got to do first?
I'm gonna go ahead and roll the intro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, Rich. Before we get anywhere else, we got to talk about a poll question.
We do, Mike. So it's wintertime activities, although it doesn't really look like wintertime out there anymore. Sometimes it feels like it's still wintertime.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like it anymore.
It was 14 degrees when I went to the store this morning.
It was in the mid-20s here when we were out on the ranch doing our mission days.
Well, by the time it heated up to like 30 today or 32, but it was.
I think that's what it probably that. But anyway, our wintertime activities this week were sledding, tubing as our number 3 seed versus ice skating. Mike, where did you go?
I voted for ice skating.
Okay.
I love being on skates. It's fun. It's good to do, and it's a good time. But that's So when Rich and I started today, when we were having our conversation, we had a tie on our hands. So we had to figure out what to do. So we called the bat phone, and my father graciously voted. So we'll give you those results. And in those results, sledding/tubing won. Rich, wait, no. Okay. So if you look at the poll results, you will see that Sue Hart, Danielle Hart, and Mikey Hart me, myself, and I. My mom, my wife, and I all voted for ice skating.
Mm-hmm.
And for tubing, you had Josh Hendricks, Gail Welshman, Rich Hendricks, and Joe Hart. Now, when you look at it on there, it's going to say balls and sticks. That is the Joe Hart vote. That's what happens.
Yeah, I went with sledding and tubing because I'm not the most confident on skates.
Oh.
And while I don't like walking up the hill to get back up to the top so I can sled back down again, I'd much rather fall in the snow and have to maybe get a little bit and have to walk up the hill to get back up to the top rather than take a hard fall, a hard fall and to the ice with my knees. So that's why I went sledding and tubing.
Now, so I'm going to tell you a funny story.
Okay.
We got a little bit of story time. We can do this, Rich, you think? You think I'm okay for like
Sure.
5 to 10 minutes?
It
won't be that
Let's
long.
go with more of the 5-minute version.
Yeah, it should be. Okay, so Rich, when I was dating my wife, I took her out ice skating.
Mm-hmm.
She said that sounded like fun. I said, okay. So we're skating. She's struggling, but she seemed like she understood what she was doing. She had done it before. I thought she's fine. She's good. No big deal. And so there were these high school kids that were part of the high school hockey team, and they were pretending like they were struggling, and they were like, "Oh help! Oh help!" So I asked my then girlfriend at the time, by the way, then girlfriend. I said, "Hey, do you mind if I just go have some fun?" And she's like, "Sure." So I grab one of them and I start to do the crack the whip game with him. Okay. And I am plowing through as fast as I can. And I go around once and I do fine. The second time, or the second lap on the first turn, I'm fully committed and I'm going quick. So I start crossing over and leaning, and I high side my skate. High siding your skate is when the blade's like this, okay, and you get so far over that the skate itself, especially on hockey skates, the hard part hits the skate ice, taking your blade off the skate. And yep, I went down. By the way, I'm in a full suit at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I go down and I slide into the wall. A bunch of people, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Especially the kid that I was having fun with. I'm like, "No, that was more fun than you realize, man." And I'm in my mid 30s at the time. It's whatever. I'm in my early 30s at the time, but I'm like just having fun. And then I find out. So I told this story. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. Literally was telling the story 2 weeks ago, and I find out it was my wife's second time ever ice skating.
Wow.
I felt a little bad for that one.
Of not staying with her.
Yeah, I probably should have just stayed holding her hand, but it's fine.
Yeah. Now, were you skating indoors or outdoors?
I was indoors.
Okay.
It was at the ice skating rink in Quad Cities.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, fun story. Anyway.
Okay, so yeah, so I can see why you have that connection to ice skating. Good story.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, this week, Mike, even though it's not going to look like you can do either of these activities now.
Nope.
We're going to go with building a snowman or snowmobiling, the 1-8 matchup.
Yeah. So we officially have started the meteorological spring, but spring itself doesn't start for another 2 weeks. And guess when this poll's going to end? In like 2 weeks.
Not exactly, Mike.
Oh. Okay. Are we behind or are we ahead?
No, we're going to be behind to that. So
okay. We'll figure it out.
We got one more, unless we want to pause it and take it as a final four and then pause it and then go into the sprint.
Okay, so we have this week and then we have one after that and then one after that?
Yes, we have one more round 2 matchup, which will be making snow angels against skiing snowboarding.
Okay. And then we go
to get us down to a final 4, and then 2 more weeks for a Final Four to get a
So the championship will be the first full week of spring. Okay.
yes.
And then we start springtime activities. That's fine. We'll be fine. That'll be fine. Okay. With that, Rich, let's go ahead and do you see what's coming up next?
Is it a left-hand turn?
It is a left-hand turn. And Rich, after that,
Well, it could be a left or a right-hand turn, Mike,
Yeah.
because we're going to be on a road course this week. But, Mike, tell them why.
because we're heading into the NASCAR Corner, presented as always by III Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois. Check them out for all your sports memorabilia needs on 5th Avenue in Moline or on their eBay store. Once again, that is III Sports Cards Incorporated. Okay, Rich, this last week, we were at the Ambetter Health 400 in Atlanta.
Mhm.
Our preseason picks, both our preseason picks have locked into the playoffs already because Christopher Bell won the race.
That's right. So, Mike, with as I said, both of our preseason picks are locked into the playoffs as Willie B won the 500, and my pick of Bell won the Ambetter 400 down in Atlanta. Mike, our picks, Daniel Suarez came in 33rd. Kyle Busch, my pick, came in 7th.
Did you break the curse?
I think the curse is done because now both of us have picked Kyle Busch in races. I think going back to last year, I don't think we had a bad Kyle Busch finishes last year.
Okay.
And obviously not this year, but maybe we'll have to keep testing it out because I'm sure we'll pick Kyle Busch at least 1 or 2 more times this year.
I have not picked him yet, and I am.
You have not.
We're not technically doing a survivor pool, but maybe one of these years we'll set up a survivor, a NASCAR survivor pool.
Did you see that they actually that you can do that on the on the NASCAR app?
Oh, I didn't. Okay.
It is called 36 for 36. So they put 36 drivers, and you can only select a driver once for the entire 36 races of the NASCAR schedule.
Okay.
And you get points similar to how the fantasy NASCAR points work for the race, and they're just ranked against everybody that's playing.
Okay. I'm down. I mean, maybe next year we'll have to try to do that.
Okay, to see which one of us. Well, they're not like in league, so you're just competing against everybody, nation or worldwide, that's choosing to do it. But yeah, we could manually keep track to see how our picks do throughout the year,
Yeah.
and who we're picking for that particular race.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do it. I like that concept. That's a great concept. I wish I would have realized that was a thing. I saw the 36 for 36. I didn't look into it at all.
Yep, that
Okay.
was a survivor pool. You can only pick them once. So, depending on how your drivers are, you could be stuck with a JJ Yaley pick for Phoenix based on how you spaced out and picked your drivers.
Okay. I like it.
And I think it only lists the full-time drivers, so you couldn't necessarily select somebody like Connor Zilich for this race because he's not on the list of drivers, or I don't even think they had Corey LaJoy on the list, so he must
Okay.
not be a full-time ride. Anyway, Mike, as we alluded, we are going to a road course in Austin, Texas for the Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix, which sets Circuit of the Americas.
Okay.
So, Mike, if you're playing fantasy NASCAR, I would highly suggest loading up on your road course ringers, your Shane Van Gisbergens, AJ Allmendinger, and this would be a good use for like William Byron, Ross Chastain, and Chase Elliott as well.
Okay. I think that's good advice. Rich, with that, you have the honors.
Yep.
What is your pick?
And I'm going to go with Ross Chastain. He's starting in the top 10. The guy has his worst finish at Circuit of the Americas is 7th in the Cup Series, so he's never finished outside of the top 10. And he also got some time behind the wheel on the new course layout at COTA, as he finished 8th in the Xfinity Series race today.
Yep. I like that pick. I think that's a really good pick. I'm going to pick Shane Van Gisbergen. The man is one of the, like you said, he's a road course specialist. But more importantly, he knows how to, he's got great car control. Every time we see him in a road course, he's at some point in time at the head of the field. And a lot of times, that's even towards the end of the race as well.
Yeah, with this being his first full season in the Cup, I think anytime that there's a road course, that's his way to get a lot of place points and and a win to get into the NASCAR playoffs.
Yeah, I think this is a good opportunity for him to get his win to get into the playoffs, and then who knows? With that, Rich, do you have any other NASCAR information you would like to get out to the people?
Yeah, let's go into our fantasy NASCAR. Yeah. As with the results of Atlanta, we did have a standings. We had a change in the standings in our league. So okay. Let me bring that up. Waiting on the phone here. So I know that I won Atlanta this week.
Yep.
Just looking at Atlanta, I won with 154 points. You took second place with 137, and Solomon got 134. Overall, Mike, the new Dupo leads our league with 321. I'm the man in the middle with 283. Mike, you're bringing up the rear with 178. So make sure to set your lineups.
How is it
that I took second in
both races? I took second in both races, and I'm in third right now. Like, how is that? That seems crazy.
He had a lot of points. I picked up a lot of points in Atlanta.
You did.
Compared to you guys.
You picked up a lot, yeah. And he and I were really close in Atlanta, so I suppose that makes sense. Okay.
All right, Mike. So that was the NASCAR Corner. You can catch the race over at COTA on the Fox Network,
which I believe is the last episode, the last race on Fox for a while. By the way, speaking of that, we should talk about this real quick.
Okay.
We did our preview and we talked about how there's less and less tracks, or less and less going to be on the national broadcast headlines, and how we thought that was crazy. How about the fact that Fox is promoting and will be showing IndyCar races instead of NASCAR for parts of the year?
I don't like it. I'd much rather watch NASCAR, but I know that. I don't know, that's the series I'm more tied to.
Yeah, I'm a little confused about it, but okay, let's go. I mean, I don't understand it, but we'll see what happens.
So they're prioritizing UFL football and IndyCar over NASCAR.
That's what it seems like.
So yeah, but you're right, Mike. After this week, you're not going to get another race on Fox Network until they go to Talladega on April 27th, and then it goes back to FS1.
Yeah.
So they get you hooked. They try to get you hooked on the main network before getting you to go to their cable network.
Yep.
Over on FS1 pretty much for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But ratings are king, though. It's all probably more or less about the ratings. So if we want more races on Big Fox, you got to tune into the races on Big Fox.
Yeah. That's essentially the
or tune in on FS1 and hope that they see the results of who's tuning in for races on the rating wise to see if they flip that to be back on the Fox network.
Yeah.
Because it isn't like the broadcasters change, because the broadcasters are the same.
Yep. Which I love.
The
those
pre-show
guys.
is the same. The pre-show is the same. It's just the network that they're airing on.
Yeah. So, I'm looking forward to this season. We still have FS1. I'll still use it. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
All right, so that was the NASCAR Corner presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois, and you can also find them on eBay. Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. All right, Mike, we're going to still make some left turns. We're going to go to the baseball diamond. As Mike, before we start talking about, I guess, the Cubs in spring training, the team's undefeated.
I don't know if I would use it to... I guess undefeated is an accurate statement, as they have not lost a game. They have ties, but they have not lost a game. That is one thing that makes spring training really weird. Watch it. Like, I have a thing on I have a board that has a scoreboard on it, and to see ties in baseball always weirds me out. But that's what this time of year has.
But yeah, for comparison, Mike, without looking, Mike, in the Cactus League, what would you say the record is of the second place team?
In the division or just in general?
In the Cactus League, in general.
I don't remember who's on. I'm going to look up who's in the Cactus League. Hopefully that doesn't give me anything. Okay, I'm going to say it's the Guardians with... They've probably played 8 games. They've won 4.
You are incorrect, sir.
Okay.
The Cleveland Guardians are actually tied for last place in the Cactus League at 2-6.
Okay. I was right about the number of games they played. Hey, I got that one right.
Yeah. The team in the Cactus League with the second best record is the 5-2 Athletics.
Oh.
Followed by the 6-3 Colorado Rockies.
So mine doesn't have them in the official Cactus League. So that might be, that's a little weird, but that's fine.
So encouraging results, because some of these have been
Oh yeah, there they are. Okay.
Because when I've seen some of these scores come through, they haven't all been like high scoring affairs. They've been like come from behind victories.
A lot of come from behind victories. Again though, like, how much of this can you truly trust?
And that's where I'm afraid to look at the over-under right now.
Yeah.
But because they start their regular season in 2 weeks on the 15th and 16th, on the 21st, I think it is, when they go out to Japan, we kind of had to move up our normal schedule. Because I think, thinking back to last year, Mike, we had so much hope, and we kind of drank the Kool-Aid with how well we thought the Cubs were going to do. You put them losing in the American League Championship Series.
National League.
I still had them winning the division.
Yeah.
And then they just got off to a slow start last year and never recovered. But I still like this team a little bit better. Then I feel better about this year's team as opposed to last year's team. So 86.5 wins was our FanDuel prediction. Are you going with the over or the under, Mike?
Pre-show I said over.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at Cactus League stuff. Here's what I know. A lot of times Cactus League, especially early Cactus League, is more about your developing players. Your guys will get out maybe for an inning or two, but for the most part, it's your developing players. Right now, we're showing that our developing players are some of the best in the Cactus League, and I would argue maybe even in the league. The hard part about that, though, is are they ready to play against big leaguers? We've made really good moves this offseason. I think I'm gonna stick with the over.
Okay.
But my confidence level has dropped a bit.
All right, that's fair.
I think we just get over. I think 90 I would be happy with. If it was at 90, I would put it at... If it was 90 and a half, I go under. If it's 89 and a half, I go over.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant too. It's not a confident over, but I'm going to say over. But it isn't like the same FanDuel Sports is still kind of going really low on a lot of teams in our division. The Cardinals are only expected to go, their over-under is set at 75. The Pirates are at 75. Milwaukee is at 82. And Cincinnati is 79.
So FanDuel says the Cubs win the division.
Which, going off of their over-unders, that's pretty accurate.
That's what I'm saying. Like, according to the over-under, FanDuel say that the Cubs win the division. Last year they only won 83. We've improved. Yeah, 86, I think 86 and a half is really crazily close. But I'm going to say the over.
Yep.
I don't know if we win more than 90 though.
No, and right now I don't think you need to win 80. I don't think you need to win 90 games to win the division.
Yeah.
But I mean, I agree. I like what they've done. Early season, that early season, it could be kind of rough.
Yep.
As you got Nico Horner is not going to be. He will not be making the trip over to Japan because he's still recovering from an injury. Matt Shaw, the top prospect looking to take over the hot corner, he's still recovering from injury. I don't think he's played any spring training action. He's gotten into any spring training games yet. So you could be the depth pieces that we acquired, the John Birdie, Vidal Bujan, if I'm probably butchering that name, and Justin Turner could be pressed into action to fill in, or even Gage Workman could be pushed into action to play second and third in the early season until Nico gets back.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think those guys are good guys to be ready that should be ready to play and should do quite well, but it still makes me nervous.
I agree. I mean, I'd rather, if this was last year's Cubs team, we'd be talking about guys, we'd be talking about Nick Madrigal and Miles Mastrobuoni being the guys that have to sub in because a regular is out. So I think we upgraded the bench in that area.
Yep.
Or Patrick Wisdom.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like Patrick. No shade to Patrick though. But yeah, I agree. I think we upgraded the bench. I think we're sitting better there. So okay, with that, Rich, let's head to the gridiron as it is combine week for the NFL.
Yes, it was. I did forget to put on to include the combine.
So, Rich, did you do any combine workouts?
I did not. No, I did not.
I did curls. Look, see, ready? That was a good workout.
Yeah. So what's the one position that you're hoping the Bears did a lot of homework and watched people at the combine?
I think I say this almost every year.
Mm-hmm.
How are we not focused on offensive linemen? Now, I think there's something to be said. If there's a receiver, a good receiver coming up, probably worth looking at. But the Bears need an offensive line, and we either need to do it by trading out those draft picks because we have like 10 of them, don't we?
We do have an extra third. I think we do. I know for sure we got an extra second. We might have an extra third too.
I thought we had something like 10. 10 picks. Let's trade them away, or let's get as much offensive line as we can. That's where I think what we need to do.
Yeah, the thing that I've been seeing around my Facebook feed is Ben Johnson watch playmakers all over the field. So I don't know if you need to build out the trenches.
Yeah.
But so I'm with you. I would say offensive lineman for that pick number 9. At pick number 9 when they get the draft. But it almost wouldn't surprise me if they went defensive line as well, because the defense we need defensive linemen too.
That's true. That is a big spot that they need a lot of work at as well. But come on, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's a spot that we need more than offensive linemen.
Yeah, I think I was reading something today to where with potential number 1 pick Abdul Carter out of Penn State, with him getting injured, there's talk that they could trade up and grab him if he falls out of the top 10, and essentially you got the number 1 pick, albeit a guy that could have a little bit of injury problems, or either recovering from an injury or his injury could get worse.
Yeah.
Based on how you view the medicals and what happens in the preseason or early regular season. And
Yeah.
I've also seen in mock drafts, really way too early mock drafts, but I've been seeing the running back from Boise State getting selected by the Bears, Alshon Jantty.
Okay.
The top running back.
Running back would not be a tear.
Because I think we have the wide receivers in Adunze and DJ Moore.
100%. I agree.
And we got a solid tight end in Cole Kmet.
Yep.
But as long as they can get some offensive tackles.
Yeah. I still don't know if that offensive line is going to cause huge issues when it comes time for in the next year or two as we watch Caleb Williams develop.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry if we don't protect him. What happened to Justin Fields is going to happen, and we're going to be in the same boat. Like, plain and simple.
Yep. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, our full discussion on what the Bears should do with the draft, April 18 and or 19th, whichever beside between a Saturday or a Friday or a Saturday show.
Yep.
And there's still a lot to do with free agents. There's a lot of good free agents, offensive linemen that could become available as
Speaking
people
of free agents,
cut and make free agency and make moves to get underneath the cap.
we have some answers for some free agents today,
We do.
this week,
Okay.
right? I mean, that was what we were supposed to. That's half of what we were supposed to talk about.
Yeah.
For
Free agency.
free
Yep.
agency and deals being made and trades happening. So free agency,
But they can't be official yet.
Right.
They can't be official until
well,
the new league.
that's not
year.
true. It can be official if it's with your same team,
Okay.
which is why technically we can announce that Matthew Stafford has re-signed with the Rams.
I think that's the right move. Because, I mean, what were the alternatives? The New York Giants? The Vegas Raiders?
Yeah,
Maybe going to Nashville? I hadn't heard Nashville, but it was like the Giants and the Raiders reached out to him to see what the compensation would have to be to acquire him. And he's at the age now that you need to have a solid offensive line in front of him and weapons for him to use. Those two teams don't have it.
Yeah, I don't really think there's a great spot for him outside. I did read a thing. You can or you don't have to agree with it, but I think it's a pseudo accurate statement. Is it just me, or are the Detroit Lions a Matthew Stafford away from winning a Super Bowl?
So him going back to where he started.
I don't think he will, and I don't think any of that
No.
is ever going to happen. But they didn't give him anything for the longest time. He gets out. They start building a different mentality there, and now all of a sudden they're about. I mean, am I wrong that they are about a Matthew Stafford away from being a great team again and maybe winning a Super Bowl?
Maybe?
That's just kind of the concept that I've heard. I'm not saying, like, I think it's an accurate statement. I don't think it's going to help them at all. I think they're done. Like, I think they screwed the pooch on that one, but I think it is an accurate.
But if they
statement.
hadn't traded Matthew Stafford, they wouldn't have gotten all those draft picks that have
100%.
turned into
100%.
the team that they have today.
Yeah, no, I agree, but it's just something to talk about, Rich, is all I
Okay.
was saying.
So yeah, I mean, other an unofficial deal we have is Deebo Samuel leaving the Niners, and he's going to go out to Washington.
Yeah. And that technically can be, again, because it's a trade, trades can be official. Ish. Kind of. Maybe. Almost.
Yeah, I would have thought they would have gotten more than a 5th-round pick for him, though.
That's probably the thing for me that shocks me about it. I thought...
But I think Washington is taking on the entire contract. Sam Fran is not picking up anything.
That in and of itself would make up... that would explain the difference there, I would guess. So, yeah, I can see that.
All right, so I'm sure when we come back on air next week, we could have more things to talk about as far as the NFL, especially with the new year. Well, maybe 2 weeks. 2 weeks we'll probably really start having something to talk about maybe the Bears will get some deals done with some offensive linemen. Right now, the only guy I think that we won't be able to get is Trey Smith from Kansas City, as it's looking like he's going to get the franchise tag.
Okay.
So he'll be staying in Kansas City.
Okay. With that, Rich, let's leave the gridiron and talk hockey. We don't talk about it nearly enough. We don't follow it nearly closely enough. And with that, how are our final 4 teams that we predicted doing? So, Rich, with that, I will get the standings.
Yes. Look at it as if they would make the playoffs. All right, Mike, do you have your... So while Mike is looking that up, my Stanley Cup pick was the New York Rangers over the Minnesota Wild. Mike, you had the Edmonton Oilers defeating the defending champion Florida Panthers.
Okay.
All right. So we'll start with the Eastern Conference teams. Mike, where are my New York Rangers?
The Rangers are in 6th place. Would miss the playoffs.
Alrighty. And where are the defending champion Florida Panthers?
They are in 1st place in the Atlantic.
All right. Over into the Western Conference, Mike. I picked the Minnesota Wild.
They're in 3rd place. They would make the playoffs.
All right. And you picked the Edmonton Oilers.
They are in 1st place and would make the playoffs.
Very good. Okay. And Mike, only because they're your pseudo-favorite team, where are the Vegas
I'm sorry, did I say
Knights?
that the Oilers were in 1st place? The Oilers are in 2nd. The Knights are in 1st.
Okay, so they make it in. They still make it in.
Yep. Okay.
Very good.
Rich, are you going to watch any hockey before the season's over?
Probably not.
Okay.
It's just buried on cable.
It is. That's the problem. Is the Stanley Cup Finals even going to be on?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, that makes it difficult. How covering it is hard to do when you're talking NHL or when you're talking, you got to find it where's it going to be. Yeah. It's a little rough. I can tell you I get scoring updates every day, but I don't get yeah, you're right. Okay. Rich, with that, we'll give a early spoiler alert. As we're going into our quick hits now, but I have a lot to talk about with esports, so that's why we're
okay.
You're gonna have a bit of a spoiler. I am gonna talk about we're gonna talk about Masked Singer in a couple minutes. We'll get there. I know I'm gonna talk a lot about esports, and we had our state finals this week, and I'm glad that we did it. I'm glad we're gonna talk about it. With that, Rich. If you don't want to know about what happens in the Masked Singer, listen to this segment. As soon as this segment's done, turn it off. We'll let you know when we're done. Anyway, so Rich, let me first say thank you for letting me use our platform to also share the esports platform as well. Yeah, so yesterday at State, we started the day bright and early. We had to be at the venue at 8. Or at 7. Ooh. Yeah, we had to be at the venue at 8. We went down the night before because reasons. But we didn't end up playing until 9. You could watch it on YouTube. Got the guys ready. We played our first match. The first round, we dominated quite well. We played 3 games. We won 3 games. We won 3-0 against Mount Air. We won game 1 3-0. Game 2 was 3-1, and game 3 was 4-2. So dominating performance coming out of that. Did great. Scheduled to go at noon on the second against Boyer Valley. We played really well. We won. We lost to Boyer Valley 1-3. Boyer Valley took game 1 4-3 in an overtime match. Game 2 was 5-3. Got a little out of hand. Boyer Valley beat us again. Game 3, we came back and won 2-1 in overtime. And then in game 4, Boyer Valley went to overtime, and it was 3-2. So we jumped in and we're on the consolation bracket. Played at 2 p.m. Went to Smoke and G's Barbecue. If you've never been to Marshalltown, great food. I don't know if we'll go back because, every time, I don't know. So we played our game. Go ahead.
Is it because every time you've gone there, you've had a defeat happen the next day's action? Well,
that day's action even. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to say next time, you got to win to get this, but, we'll see what happens. The third game, 5 games. We played all 5 games.
Okay.
Played Iowa Falls. We beat them earlier in the season. It is hard to beat a team twice in any game. The first game, Iowa Falls won, Okoboji won 2-1. We were feeling great. Game 2, Iowa Falls wins 5-0. Game 3, Iowa Falls wins 2-1. Game 4, Okoboji wins 5-1. Now we are in Game 5. Game 5, we lost 4-2. Great game, great season by our guys. Honestly, I don't know that we could have done any better. We peaked earlier than we should have, and maybe that's on me. It's a little bit of a bummer. But the guys did great. Shout out to Dante, Eddie, and James and Aiden Clark for doing a great job and being there as a team. We are working hard. We're getting ready for Mario Kart season, actually. I didn't even think about it when I put the shirt on. But Mario Kart season starts technically Wednesday. We have our coaches meeting, and week 0 is the following week. We're allowed to practice this week, so we're going to have some practices this week.
All right, good deal. So great job at state. It sounds like the guys still had fun. You still got to eat at a really good restaurant.
We had a great time.
Well, yeah, maybe you do need to adjust that because to be the stop that you take the trophy to.
You know what I'm not doing, by the way?
What's that?
I'm not wearing my esports socks to the next match, to the next game, or to the next state if we make state for Mario Kart. I'm not wearing my socks.
Those have a loss on them.
2 losses.
2 losses. Oof.
Not doing it. So, okay. With that, Rich, spoiler alert. People are watching us right now, and they want to know what to do to listen to us on the road. What should they do with that, Rich?
Look up Balls and Sticks wherever you download all of your other podcasts from. Apple, Spotify, and whatever Google is calling their podcast platform now. You look us up, you can find us. And Mike, if they're in podcast land listening to us and they want to see the live broadcast, interact with the show, where can they find that?
Rich, you can find that on youtube.com/@ballsandsticks.
All right. I think that's a good enough spoiler alert for the Masked Singer. Mike, before we talk about who moved on, who was your favorite performance of the night?
The Paparazzo did great. how are they not the front runner at this point?
Hmm. I thought the Coral did better. So I was really surprised when the Paparazzo was announced as the automatic moving on to the Lucky Six.
Yeah, I ooh. I think the Paparazzo did a really good job. Um, my wife actually thought that what, the the Coral was what was the third one? Who performed third?
The Ant.
The Ant. My wife thought the Ant did really good. She actually thought the Ant did better um, than what's her called?
No, I'm sorry. Once again, I did not like the Ant's performance.
What do you?
She didn't perform a Rat Pack song. She did once again. They allowed her to kind of sing a song of her choice, and it was outside of the theme for the night. She didn't perform a song.
Song did she
Went
do?
she went way outside the box
What
for
song did she
Shrek
do?
Night. Huh?
It's Shrek Night. I 100% give you that Shrek Night didn't that one was bad, but um, mhm. Let me get to see the website I have has it on here, but doesn't have
What they sang?
well doesn't have the latest stuff. So, like, there it is. Okay, I got to it finally. Okay, so what did she sing? Let's get to here. I thought I went to season 13.
The Ant sang Fever by Peggy Lee. The last time I checked, Peggy Lee is not in the Rat Pack.
She was at least in this. She was in the same genre, would jazz slash pop singer of the time. She was in the same era. Um,
Nope, sorry. You gotta sing a Rat Pack song.
okay. So,
So I was glad when she was the one that got sent home, and I didn't think she really did all that well with "I Did It
Fever?
My Way."
oh,
I didn't like her rendition of that either.
uh, I didn't. I mean, I don't know. I didn't think it was great, but um, yeah, I think Coral did better, but I don't know. I'm not mad about it. I wasn't gonna be mad either way. I thought they both did a really good job. I can understand your annoyance of she doesn't um she doesn't get to uh she doesn't get the she didn't get the um she didn't do the theme. She didn't follow the theme.
Yeah,
And I get
or the producers allowed her to choose a song outside of the theme.
yeah. Yeah. So
All right, so the Ant was the one that went home, and it was revealed to be Danity Kane's singer Aubrey O'Day, who Robin
Yeah.
Thicke chose
yeah.
as his final guest.
I think there's a lot that went into that. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I still think Paparazzo has been the best performer overall. Coral's really been good, but Paparazzo I think was better. How do you like that two go on from this, and it's
I
gonna be a
like
top
that better.
six.
I like that better rather than having a ding dong keep it on bell. I think I'd still rather see all the people that finish. I probably said it multiple times already, but I think I'd rather see an episode where the second place finishers of each group are perform one night to decide who gets the fourth slot for the finals. But I kind of like the idea of a six-person finals. So maybe they'll do two. Maybe it'll be three episodes with those six people instead of having two episodes for a final where you're going down from four to two and then two to an unmasking.
Yeah, and it looks like there are four more. There are so. Do we want to reveal the next costumes?
Sure, why not?
Okay, so we're gonna have the bat, the boogie woogie,
Mm.
the griffin, the pearl, and the space ranger. So there's five for that week for
Oh,
B.
and we did get a new character, Mike, in
Yeah.
the show, as we got the lucky duck coming out and giving a clue
Yeah.
at the end.
Oh, did you think that was anything like? What did you think of that?
I don't know what to think of it. There's a part of me that thinks, is that how they're gonna get Nicole Scherzinger back on the show?
I 100%
Is she's gonna
thought
get
that's the same.
is she gonna get unrevealed as the lucky duck during like the finals when she gives one final clue before they unmask her? Kind of like what they did with Jenny McCarthy's husband, Donnie, when he was was it the rooster? Some sort of rooster?
Something like that, yeah. I think it'd be fine either way. I
But the voice dubbing makes it sound like it's a guy.
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's somebody connected to Rita Ora, maybe.
So again, this is kind of off topic, but what did you think of of the aunt's stance towards how harsh life is because her boss is in prison?
I don't know how I felt about that. It's kind of odd. We had to look up, well, who was her boss,
Cat.
or who was it?
So it's Diddy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He's in prison. Good reason. It's odd because one of her coworkers sued her. One of her band members sued her sued Diddy for harassment and inappropriate relations.
Hmm. Was that while she was also in the band, or she had left at that point?
I don't know.
Hmm.
But either way, it was interesting. With that being said, Rich, any shout outs for the show?
I do.
Yeah.
I gotta say a happy anniversary to my parents. 45 years this year. 45.
They've been married longer than my parents. I mean, that makes sense. That makes
But
sense.
45. So they went out of town up to for the weekend. So
So you weren't. What you're saying is you weren't a wedding baby.
no, I was not.
Good. So with that, Rich, I actually have 3 shout outs.
Yeah.
2 birthday shout outs. Jenna, my sister-in-law, her birthday is today. I have yesterday was Jonathan's birthday. And somewhere or not yesterday, Thursday was Jonathan's birthday, the 27th. And somewhere between yesterday and today, my niece Haley gets to celebrate her birthday. She's a leap day baby.
Okay.
So those 3 are birthday shout outs. For other shout outs, my sister Heather Scranton is officially a doctor. She got her doctorate in nurse practitioner, I think. I don't remember exactly what it was, but she got a doctorate in nursing, some nursing thing, which is kind of awesome. So she's officially a doctor now, and yeah. With that, Rich, what's it time to do?
Mike, let's go ahead and roll that outro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.